So as I've said before, I am notoriously bad at making shop videos. So today I decided I wanted to put the frame sliders on the bike, and I already got the fairings off before I remembered that I am supposed to record it all and put it on YouTube. I'm just bad at it. I'm sorry. I'm just bad at it. But anyways, we have the SATO frame sliders. Just to catch everyone up, if you're wanting to install something on your Gen 1, Gen 2 Daytona, the fairings come up super easily. On the left side, you've got 1, 2, 3 bolts. On the right side, you've got 1, 2, 3 bolts. And of course, your 2 bolts that made it to the front fairing, which made up right here. And then if you haven't taken them off before, you'll probably have some little plastic Christmas tree plug annoying boogers down on the bottom that you'll have to wrangle out. I just use zip ties.
And then underneath, you'll have this little guy right here. There might be another little Christmas tree plug or plastic piece in there. Again, I just use zip ties.
And that's it, your fairings are off. So here's everything in the kit. You've got 2 pucks, 2 brackets, 1 for the right side, 1 for the left side. There's actually instructions in the box here. They're pretty straightforward. So we're gonna install these and see how we like them today. So before I unscrew everything, I wanna make sure that I have the right stuff to be able to put everything back on. It looks like all these bolts are an M10 according to the instructions. I don't have an M10 Allen driver, but I do have this guy, which is a 5/16, and she fits just fine. So this will work. Now to check the engine bolt torque specs. Haynes manual. If you don't have one of these, definitely get one. I live by these things. I love these things. This is everything you'll ever need to work on your bike. I'm gonna look through the contents. Engine, page 2.1. Let's see. So here we've got all of our engine bolt torque settings. We've got front mounting bolts, center mounting bolts, 48 Newton meters. So it looks like we're good to go. Okay, so there's a nut on the other side of this in here. So I'm just gonna undo this and kick the radiator forward just a little bit so I can get to that nut. I'm gonna use this guy. It is an 8mm. Oh, guess that's not steel. Still going in there. Let's see if we can get to this guy. All right, so we did have to bust out the baby breaker bar, but we got the bolt out. It is a 14mm. So this nut back in there is an absolute turd to get out. I'm really glad that I kicked the radiator forward just so I get my meat hooks in there. But it's also a 14mm, and I suggest getting a small wrench and just sticking it in there. And you can actually break it loose without actually having to hold on to the wrench.
And then you just take it out like so. Ba-bing. All right. It's on there. So we now have both sides mocked up. Both the brackets are on.
Now the torque spec for the engine bolts is about 48 Newton meters. That's about 35 foot-pounds. So let's get these torqued up, get the radiator back in place, and put the fairings on and see how they look. Before I get the fairings back on here, I thought I'd throw in a little tip. Every time I take my fairings off, I clean the inside of them. They get really grimy, they get dirt and gravel and like road sand and everything built up in them. I just like to clean them off, freshen them up a little bit before I throw them back on the bike. You might have little crevices like this down on the bottom of your fairing that collect a bunch of sand and just debris. So get yourself an old toothbrush or your wife's toothbrush and you can get in here and clear all of that out. Yeah, hope that helped. So it got busy, some stuff happened, it's now darkness outside. So I realized I gave you that little tip before I left and I never actually showed you the end product. I just kind of like scratched it a couple times with the toothbrush and clear all of that out. This is what it ends up looking like if you just take a few seconds and take a toothbrush to the crevices of your fairings. Now, I definitely don't do it every time, but it is something that I do every once in a while if I start to see some stuff build up. But if you do it every once in a while, then you don't have to brush off, say, 6 years of road grime whenever you want to clean your fairings. All right, we've almost got everything all the way back together, but I do have one little nitpick with these that I've noticed as I'm putting the fairings back on. So I noticed as I snapped it in place here, there's a little plug in there to guide it in place. I snapped that in, I realized this bolt is pretty close to that fairing. And right here where the fairing sits, it's actually coming in contact with the bracket for the puck. And there's a gap for this bolt right here. If I push the fairing up to mate with where it's supposed to accept the fairing bolt, it actually flexes the fairing just a little bit. I'm pretty picky, so that's a little upsetting since there's supposed to be no cut. I mean, overall, pretty decent fitment. Here's a view from a little bit further away as I push in right there where the bolt's gonna snug up. You can see it flexes right there in the middle where it comes in contact with the bracket. All right, we got everything buttoned up with minimal swearing. They look pretty good. Here's just a little view from the front. You can barely see them. It is gonna bother me
that the one on the right side sticks out just a little bit more than the one on the left side.
But I think that's just how the frame is. I wanted to put these guys on today, but I'm definitely gonna be riding tomorrow and probably the day after that. And you're definitely supposed to let these sit for like a day so they don't come off.
But there they are. These are the SATO frame sliders.
I'll put a link down in the description to where I got them if you want to check them out, put them on your Daytona. I'm definitely not a how-to channel, but I do try to document some of the things that I do when I work on the bike. So I hope this video was helpful to you if you're trying to install frame sliders on your 06 to 2012 Daytona. The process is about the same on every sport bike. The kit and the fairings will be a little bit different on every bike, but the concept is the same. Pull the fairings off, find where the kit mounts on, mount the brackets, put the fairings back on, mount the pucks.
And they came out looking pretty nice.
Thank you for watching the video. If you did enjoy the video or any part of the video, leave a like. It takes 5 seconds. Over 85% of you are not subscribed. Hit that subscribe button. That way, whenever I upload a video, I pop up in your newsfeed and you can watch more shenanigans. But again, thanks for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Peace.